All right, good evening, everyone. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we please have roll call?
Supervisor McGlasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Present.
Councilman Tempori?
Here.
Councilman Ruthven?
Here.
Councilman Boyd?
Here.
All present.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to make a motion to move the food insecurity up to the beginning so that way they can present and they don't have to stay. Is that all right with everyone?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, do you want to introduce? I just think it just makes more sense since you're here. That's
No, I'm going to let Ann go ahead
okay.
and do that.
And do you want to introduce that?
I can say a little bit about the history of the proposal.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember now. It's been, I guess, about a little over a year ago that I was talking with Jason Angel from Phillipstown Town Board, and he had been working on a proposal for American Rescue Plan funding through the county to work on food security in their community. And I basically stole his proposal. And we advanced that to the county, and fortunately, the one for Kent was funded. So we now have an opportunity to make terrific strides using American Rescue Plan funding to build a food security network for our community. And so I'm very grateful that we have our representatives from Cornell Co-op Extension here tonight to present on the possibility that they would step in and basically manage this grant for us. So I guess, is there anything further you'd like us to say?
No?
No?
Looking forward to the presentation.
All right, well, good evening. Thank you, Supervisor McGlasson, and here's some handouts for you to keep.
Okay.
After we're finished
Thank
with
you.
the presentation. Thank you for
Just for
allowing
me.
us to come in. My name is Stephanie
Oh, wait.
Hebert. I'm the Executive Director for Cornell Cooperative Extension in Putnam County, and my colleague Ruby, you could leave it like that. My colleague Ruby Koch-Feinberg is also here to share a little bit about our expertise and basically present and allow you to feel comfortable with working with us to help put your plan into action to reach its goals and objectives. So again, who we are and what's ahead. So we're going to spend between 5 and 10 minutes giving a brief presentation, and we're going to outline some really important areas. Our areas of expertise, our current and relevant work, and the grants that we are currently implementing along this line of food insecurity and local food systems. The task and timeline that we'd like to present to the town. Potential modifications after we looked at the proposal that Councilwoman Campbell put forth, looking at it through our eyes and our lens with the experience that we have a few modifications that we'd like to suggest would make better sense while implementing this particular proposal, and then open it up for questions. And so just to reflect back to our areas of expertise, we are currently either managing or have just finished managing 4 rather large grants that deal specifically with food insecurity and local food systems. So in 2021, we received a federal grant, the Community Food Planning Grant, which was funded by the Department of Agriculture. In 2023, just recently, we've received the Part 2, which is the USDA Community Food Implementation Grant, which Ruby will be starting in the near future. We also received, over this past fiscal funding year, a $15,000 Field Hall Foundation grant, which many of you may have seen our Bountiful Meals program in the senior centers. And also, as Councilwoman Campbell said, we partnered with Phillipstown on the ARPA funding project that they also submitted and were partially funded for. When looking at our area of expertise, we have a wealth of research and knowledge at our fingertips, being part of the land grant system. Many of you are familiar with that. We have high-class research professors down to the state level and county level. Basically, we also are able to, at minimum effort, use any of the data and the research that our sister land-grant universities have, whether it's through University of Connecticut or University of Wisconsin. We have that partnership with those agencies. 3 focus areas. The USDA has put forth 6 initiatives that all extension system agencies should be working to enhance in their communities, and agriculture and food systems is one of the initiatives that has basically percolated to the top since COVID, and it is an initiative that we are taking quite seriously. Ruby is a new hire within the past year with us, and her expertise, having a master's in that area, is certainly a benefit to us here at Putnam County. And, you know, between the administrative side, myself and my finance manager, we have over 40 years of managing federal grants. So I think we have a pretty solid track record that speaks for ourselves. And I'll hand it over to Ruby.
Thanks, Stephanie. So I'm going to speak to our current relevant work and grants, starting off with our USDA Community Food Planning Grant. So part of that work was really directly reaching participants in the county that are facing food insecurity. So the first step of that was doing a survey, photographed here, and really identifying what the needs are for folks facing food insecurity. Part of that grant was creating a map, also pictured here, that really demonstrates all the food access points in the county, ranging from farm stands to convenience stores that accept EBT cards. So really everything across the board. But what the planning grant identified were 3 different focus areas for us to really look at as a county. One of which is increasing cold storage. The second major focus area for us as a county is really increasing the ability to distribute food across the county. And then the third major focus area for us is really working directly with farmers to provide produce to emergency food providers that is culturally relevant, nourishing, and fresh. Our next relevant work is the Bountiful Meals pilot program, which is really a way to directly connect all aspects of the food system in Putnam County. So part of that is directly paying local farmers to grow produce for the program, directly paying local meal processor to create meals for this program, and these are individually packaged, fully pre-prepared meals that are frozen, so any senior can take home and have that meal for dinner or on the weekend when the senior centers are not providing meals. Part of this program, we're implementing these freezers so any senior can walk by and take a meal home. They're clearly extremely inviting, and we have a little bit of a note from a local senior that I think really highlights all the elements of this program. Nutritious, delicious, and spending $10 less per week on groceries, right? So it's really hitting all the major points. Our next relevant piece of work is the Phillipstown ARPA assessment, which is the first piece of this proposal as well. So part of that was sending out a direct mailing to every resident of Phillipstown to really gauge, are you receiving food support? Do you need additional food support? And part of this assessment we did as a community coalition, so we tied in mental health support services, additionally senior support services. So we worked directly with 3 distinct Phillipstown organizations and created the Phillipstown Cares Coalition, and they were us as a team created the mailing that went out to every resident, and then also a advertising campaign, and this is one of our newspaper advertisements. And also part of that was doing door knocking, so making sure that the targeted communities that we knew would need a little bit of extra support, we really wanted to make sure that they were responding to the survey. So we went out and Jason Angel led a door knocking campaign for us. So why we're all here today, obviously, working directly in Kent of how to build a community food system resilience in Kent. The original proposal identified a handful of gaps, but we're going to be focusing on just 3 of them today. So the first one is that local households that need food security assistance, not all of them are currently accessing it, right? So the ALICE report from United Way says that 36% of Kent residents are ALICE households, which means asset limited, income constrained, but employed, right? So this number differs than the 4.5% below the federal poverty line in Kent. So there's a large gap that is not currently being met. Also, another need is cold storage capacity. We've seen that once again in Putnam County. And then also a need for administrative capacity to build a food system network. And these are kind of the major key points where we can come in. So there are 3 overall phases of the initial proposal. The first one is really identifying local households in need of food security assistance. So going back to the note of that major gap that is not identified. Those are people who still need support, and we really want to figure out who those people are. The second phase is investing in our cold storage capacity. In order to build a food system that meets every element of this county's needs, you need to have the infrastructure to support it. And then phase 3 is really just disseminating the prepared meals, right? Getting those meals out to people. So just to dive a little bit deeper into each of those phases, for identifying local households, the initial proposal directly notes every door direct mailings, which is what we did for the Phillipstown ARPA mailing or assessment, targeted advertisements, so really doing social media campaigns that are specific for the town of Kent, and then also working directly with community organizations that work with target populations that are facing food insecurity. Phase 2 is really investing in our cold storage capacity, so that is simply doing the capital investments, making those purchases. Merchandisers, freezers, similar to the ones that you saw in the Bountiful Meals program. We know those work. We know they have wheels. We've had the experience with purchasing and ordering those. And then also a walk-in freezer to have that capacity for produce from local farmers, more meals, et cetera, et cetera. We know that we have these needs. And then phase 3 is really just disseminating those meals to the people. So key elements of that is building partnerships with meal processor. We already have one very strong partnership with Second Chance Foods, who we work closely with for our Bountiful Meals program. And then also building out our distribution networks. That includes, volunteers to make sure that those meals are getting to freezers and directly to people in need. As we mentioned, some potential modifications just to enhance the program that we've either seen with our experience or just to kind of get up to date with everything, working in conjunction with the town hall updates. The initial proposal, I believe, has putting the walk-in freezer in the food pantry. It's certainly something just because we know the town hall updates are not completed yet, so working in conjunction to make sure that everything is makes sense in that timeline. And so the second level of that would be potentially distributing out of existing community centers, the library, the fire department. We know Casa Servir Church is already accessing folks facing food insecurity. So making sure that they have the ability to meet greater need. And then also adjusting the timeline for prepared meal preparations. The initial application mentioned, I think, 41,000 meals in year 2. Just in working with Second Chance Foods, we know that's probably beyond her capacity for 1 year, so potentially modifying that to have meals made in year 1 and year 2 and distributing those meals in year 2, but having those meals prepared in a timeline that works for everybody. And that's it. Thank you for listening, and we're open to any questions.
So I'm thinking about it from the, you referenced the town hall, and everybody should know that we're talking about the old town hall down the road that we also have ARPA funding for to turn into a community center, food distribution, emergency warming station, and we have a whole bunch of plans for the building. So I think it's important as we move forward, and we do have a meeting coming up with the architect to start initial discussion. They've taken their measurements and everything, but you're gonna need infrastructure that is built into that building, and I think we need to make sure that you're on board in that discussion to make sure as they're designing something for us that if the walk-in cooler is inside or if it has to be built out on the outside, we need to have that available from the right at the beginning, that information that we're gonna need to give to him.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just got a couple of quick questions. The ARPA funding's not gonna last forever, so what is the contingency plan when the ARPA funding runs out? My only concern is this something that's gonna be passed on to the taxpayers?
We're implementing the proposal that you guys wrote, so I'm not sure what the town of Kent has in plan for substantiating the program. I mean, we certainly, over the 2 years of implementing this, will do the best of our ability to help the town secure additional funds or whatever is needed. I don't know.
You don't have an answer. That's okay. It's fine. It's all good. Well, that's the whole thing is, like any program, it's a great program. It's a great idea. Unfortunately, somebody's got to fund it. And when the funding runs out that we're being quote unquote given, somehow it's got to be funded. Otherwise, it ends up being, basically a dead end issue where you can't keep it going. It can't sustain itself. And the only thing I'm thinking is the last week alone, New York State, the governor's budget, she cut out $22 million in HP, they love acronyms, HPNAP funding, additional, and then SNAP funding for New York State residents. So again, this is something, as I said, that's great, but looking at it from strictly economic point of view, we don't want to be like, have stuff and then put it in place and then all of a sudden we have no money for it.
So I think that there are potentially a few opportunities for the community to come together to assist.
Stephanie, can you talk to the mic so it ends up on the, thank you.
We can hear it, but they can't.
Sure, no problem. So that's a good question. I think there are a few opportunities moving forward after the 2-year plan. I think that for something that is as humane as feeding the community, oftentimes we see that when seed money runs out, the community comes together, whether it's through donations, working with farmers for gleaning programs. There's a few other models that would take place. We know that the church right now is at Casa Servier, has a small food pantry right now, and there is the opportunity that they could meld into what is being proposed by Kent and helping to support. The other opportunity that for a small amount of money that helps feed a large population is becoming a member of the Hudson Valley Food Bank. And so for pennies on the dollar, you're able to purchase buying power from the Hudson Valley Food Bank that could stock those shelves. We won't know the number of individuals that partake in the program until at least after one full cycle of doing it, which would give you guys a bit more data on what it could take to potentially keep the program going. The good news is that food insecurity and local food systems exploded as a much needed attention getter once COVID hit and things shut down and people didn't know how they were going to feed themselves. So at a federal level, even though you just quoted some very true items that our governor has done to the budget, on a federal level through the USDA, they are continuously providing funding opportunities for this type of program. It's not a guarantee, but in looking long-term, I feel confident that there will be opportunities for funding to continue.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's no vote, is there? Shall be in the ARPA funding. Was just a presentation?
Yep, okay. All right, now we'll go back to the top of the agenda again. We'll start at the beginning. So we have a bunch of things for Lake Carmel. The first item is to appoint new members. We have a recommendation from the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board to appoint Jeremy Goldberg and Stephen Perry to their boards. They've interviewed, and that's who they would like us to appoint tonight.
Okay.
Just do one at a time, and then, because there's a couple items, so let's do one at a time, and we can add.
Okay.
Okay?
I know Ann asked
Okay.
earlier, she's got the expiration dates and stuff
Yep.
down there. so
And
she
you
can
want to
do it.
read the resolution?
Okay.
I don't have to do it. Thanks.
Well, you have the big loud voice, so I was going to let you go for it.
It's my teacher.
Yes. Well, I have my teacher voice too. I make a motion to adopt a resolution appointing members to the Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board. Whereas the Town of Kent Lake Carmel Park District Advisory Board, the LCPDAB, currently has vacancies, and Jeremy Goldberg and Stephen Perry have been recommended to fill said vacancies. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Kent wishes to appoint Jeremy Goldberg and Stephen Perry to fill the vacancies on the LCPDAB, now therefore be it resolved that Jeremy Goldberg and Stephen Perry be immediately appointed to fill the unexpired terms of Jenny Garbarino and Jerry Jacobs, which terms end December 31st, 2025 and December 31st, 2026, respectively. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is also for Lake Carmel. It is for the lake treatment. It is that time of year that we have to get our permits in order in case we need to treat the lake this summer, which we're hoping we don't have to like last summer. But we are working again with, LIFE, Limnology, Information, and Freshwater Ecology. And they have sent in their proposal, and I'm just asking for us to approve it tonight so we can go out and get our, permits. Our New York State and New York State DES permits.
TEC.
DES.
Yes? All right. Is that the same amount as last year? Any questions?
Anyone have any?
When we brought this up last year, I did raise a question about whether or not this is indeed a sole provider, or whether it's just that this is the recommendation for professional services that we want to use. So I see it's still worded that way this year.
We had reached out to Nancy, and Nancy said that it was
It is the only provider in the area at
Okay.
this time, yeah.
Good enough.
All right, someone want to read it?
I guess since Ann stole my last one, though. Make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting a proposal for lake treatment services. Whereas the town is in need of lake management service to control algae blooms in Lake Carmel, whereas Limnology, Information, and Freshwater Ecology, Inc. is the sole source provider for the algicide treatment required for Lake Carmel, and has submitted a proposal for the treatment of Lake Carmel for the 2023 season, a copy of which is annexed here too. And whereas the town board believes it is the best interest of the town to accept the proposal submitted by Limnology Information and Freshwater Ecology, Inc. in the amount of $19,910 for the management of algae blooms in Lake Carmel for the 2023 season, and to authorize Limnology to apply for the necessary permits from the New York State DEC and the New York State Division of Water. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby approves the algicide treatment of Lake Carmel by Limnology Information and Freshwater Ecology, Inc. for a price not to exceed $19,910, which includes the fees for the permits referenced above, consistent with the annexed proposal, and authorizes the town supervisor to execute all documentation required to obtain all necessary permits and other documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I hereby make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And it is also that time of year that we need to order sand for the beaches. So, our Lake Carmel Park District clerk went out and tried to get 3 quotes. She received 2, and Liberty Trucking declined to give us a quote. So I'm asking the board to approve MJB Enterprise with the lowest price of $3,920 for 70 yards of sand delivered. Any comments, questions? Everyone good with it? Kathy, you good with it? Okay. It's oh, it's not cowboy sand, I'm sorry, it's Calbay. Calbay, I thought it was a cowboy.
Yeah,
You wanna read that, Michelle?
Sorry about that.
sure.
Calbay sand, sorry, I thought it was cowboy sand, it's Calbay. I thought it was cowboy. I like mine better.
So make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the quote for the beach sand, Town of Kent, County of Putnam, New York State, resolution, is there a number for that?
Don't worry about
No.
it, just read it.
All right. Whereas the Lake Carmel Park District clerk has advertised the town board that there is a need to purchase beach sand for the use within the Lake Carmel Park District, and whereas in accordance with the town's procurement policy, the Lake Carmel Parks Department clerk requested 3 quotes for 70 yards of sand with delivery and received 2 quotes in response to such request, a summary of which is indexed hereto and incorporated herein by reference. And whereas MJB Enterprises LLC has submitted the lowest quote in the amount of $3,920. And whereas the town of Kent wishes to accept the quote of MJB Enterprises LLC. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the quote of MJB Enterprises LLC for 70 yards of sand delivered for the price of $3,920.
Make the motion.
I make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I make a motion that we add an item to the Lake Carmel, agenda.
List.
List for, Beach 3, or Beach 4, I'm sorry.
So,
Second, all in favor?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So just to bring everybody up to speed, we have gotten quotes for the dock bulkhead at Beach 4, and we've gotten 3 quotes in. We reached out today to the quote that was the lowest and asked them for their insurance, because we've never used them before. So just to be on the safe side tonight, I'm gonna ask the board to approve the lowest bid pending their insurance, but also authorize to use the second lowest bid if the insurance of the lowest bid doesn't come through. Because we are on a timeline, as Kathy pointed out last night, the lake is still low, and that, we did talk to Frank today, and that's why it's slow. They're hoping to get this contractor in within the next week and a half and have this finished so they can start raising the lake level. So I'd like to make a, do I gotta add this to, or you already did?
We already
You
added it.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to do a contract with Greco Outdoor Contracting for the Beach 4 dock bulkhead in the amount of $5,900 pending his insurance is acceptable to the town. As an alternate, we authorize Jim Lieber Inc. for $6,200 as a backup. Make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Our next item is for recreation. I'm asking the board tonight, we need to start advertising for our seasonal park maintenance workers. You can read it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the town clerk to advertise for seasonal park maintenance workers for Recreation and Parks Department. Whereas the town of Kent is seeking to fill the positions of seasonal park maintenance workers for the Recreation and Parks Department, and whereas the town of Kent wishes to advertise for applications to fill said positions, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes its town clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for applicants for the seasonal park maintenance workers position for the Recreation and Parks Department. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item is benchmarking of energy consumption for NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program.
And I'm thinking maybe we want to keep this as a discussion item for tonight. There's a lot here and a lot to think about. So basically, NYSERDA has a program whereby we would make a more rigorous kind of assessment of the energy usage of town buildings. And that information has to be prepared and measured according to certain guidelines and publicized and so forth. So there's quite a long resolution here. In fact, it's a long enough resolution that even if we were to just fill in names tonight, I don't think we'd want to take the time to read the whole thing. So I'd like to just bring it up for discussion tonight. I will point out that if we do adopt this resolution, in addition to proceeding with the kind of work that we need to be doing anyway from an energy saving standpoint, we want to start benchmarking and documenting where we can make improvements on energy usage. This also, just passing the resolution, will qualify us for a $5,000 grant from NYSERDA because we have already completed 3 other key actions that NYSERDA, which is the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, has indicated, are leading to this grant. So we've done 3 other priority actions that included our community solar campaign, changing our street lights that we lease from NYSEG to LED lights was the second one. And then one of our code enforcement personnel attended an energy training of some kind. So passing this resolution, even if we don't complete the work, would get us to number 4, which would qualify us for that grant. And then we would see if perhaps we would want to use that $5,000 to help pay for the cost of doing any benchmarking activities, or possibly to convert some of our fluorescent lighting to LED lighting. There are various options that the board could vote on at a later time about how to use that funding. But I think we need to undertake a little more thorough review of this document and discuss it at a future meeting, and also determine what costs might be involved in carrying out the benchmarking, because that will help us decide how we'd want to use the $5,000 in funding. So I don't want to rush this, but I just wanted to make everyone aware of it. It's in the backup, and comments could be given to me directly or through our Climate Smart email, climatesmart@townofkentny.gov. Any other comments from my colleagues?
Just so we all kind of understand, what do you consider the benchmarking to be? How do you interpret the benchmarking, the process of it, and what would it undertake?
As I understand it, we would have to use some fairly rigorous methods to determine energy usage. That might partly be done through fuel records, maybe also some kinds of measurements. And then we would have to have some kinds of approaches for actually reducing the energy usage. Now, some of this we're already doing, and so we may get some credit under Climate Smart if we do benchmarking, for example, of the improvements to the town highway garage, which is in the process of having insulation installed. I think there's going to be a tremendous cost savings there. In addition, the new garage that's been built down at Highway that allows the snowplows to be, vehicles to be turned off during the time of a storm rather than having to idle throughout, because apparently if they're not indoors and they're turned off, they can't be restarted. So we're going to have fuel savings from that, although that would not be so easily documented under this program. So again, there are good things we're already doing. When we do the renovation on the old town hall, that's going to be another example where we might be able to gather some data of how much fuel was used in the past to keep it heated. I know right now we're probably not keeping it to normal temperatures because it's out of use, but if we go back to when it was in use, perhaps we could do some benchmarking there. after the improvements are done. So these are things we need to do anyway to work towards the Climate Smart certification that we undertook back in 2019. But I think we need to do a little more research on exactly what the procedures will have to be, which buildings, how we'll make the measurements and so forth. And apparently the documentation requirements are also pretty stringent. So that's why I'm suggesting we just have it as a discussion item at this point.
Thank you.
And I will try to gather more information for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe get the task force to help.
And on the lighting district, wasn't that approved a while ago for, I thought NICEC was going to come and do change the lights for the lighting district?
When you say lighting district, all of the street lights in town.
All of the
have been
street
converted.
lights.
The Cobra
They have.
Head.
But did they do them?
Yes, it's complete.
Oh, okay, so I thought you said it again tonight, that's why I was
No, I
confused.
said that's one of the actions that we undertook. So that was one of the three that we've done so far that
Okay,
would qualify
okay,
for this funding.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, maybe it's the mask.
All right, anyone else? No? Okay. All right. So our planning board has voted on who they would like their consultants to be for the rest of the year. They are asking us tonight to appoint Cornerstone Appraisal, Bruce Barber, Barton LaJudas, Don Fletcher, Royd Soik and Andrews, John Andrews, and Vanderwater, Jeff Battistoni, to be the planning board consultants for the rest of the year, effective immediately.
Good.
Any comments? No? Okay.
Now, the way the resolution is written, we have the names of the firms, but not the specific individuals that you just named. Is that implicit? That there wouldn't be switching?
Well, I think we're actually hiring the firm.
Right,
Yeah, so that's why we did it that way.
but then they wouldn't be switching and giving us a different engineer from the same firm, or would they have that flexibility? I'm just curious.
I think what they'd have the flexibility for in is to send someone else in when the person we generally work with isn't available.
Okay.
Yeah.
We saw that with John Andrews. He came in after one of our former engineer went out on maternity leave, and that's how John, it was the same company, but they sent another person.
Okay, thanks.
You good? I'd like to make a resolution to appoint planning board consultants, whereas by resolution dated October 4th, 2022, the town of Kent authorized the advertising of proposals for the engineering, planning, wetland, and legal services part 4 to act as consultants to the town of Kent Planning Board. And whereas the planning board has recommended the following firms be appointed as planning board consultants: Cornerstone Appraisals, Barton and LaJudas, Rhodey, Soika, and Andrews, Vanderwater and Vanderwater. And whereas the town board wishes to accept the planning board recommendations and appoint the above referenced firms as consultants to the town of Kent Planning Board, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby appoints Cornerstone Appraisals, Barton and LaJudas, Rhodey, Soika, and Andrews, and Vanderwater as consultants to the town of Kent Planning Board, consistent with the proposals submitted by the aforementioned firms. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Our next item is from the clerk's office. Lana, do you want to explain what this item is?
New York State has amended their domestic relations law, allowing a person to obtain a one-day officiant license. And they have to go to the town in which the couple has obtained a marriage license, and they can obtain this one-day officiant for a fee of $25. So we have to accept and change our fee schedule to collect the $25. That's what we're doing.
Can I ask you a question? What percentage does the town keep of that?
So far, the state hasn't asked for anything. I think we get to keep right now the whole $25, which is unusual because they get a good percentage of the marriage license.
Okay, just asking.
Till the governor needs more.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
I can read this.
Okay.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the town clerk to issue one-day marriage efficient licenses. Whereas the state of New York recently amended domestic relations law, section 11D, to require town clerks to issue one-day marriage efficient licenses to individuals who are residents of the state of New York and over 18 years of age. And whereas the one-day license is limited to the marriage of a couple who have obtained a marriage license from the same town clerk's office with whom the one-day efficient is applying. And whereas in compliance with the amended law, the town board of the town of Kent wishes to authorize the town clerk to issue one-day efficient licenses to those that meet the qualifications for a fee of $25, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the town clerk to issue one-day efficient licenses to those that meet all qualifications and authorizes the fee of $25 for the aforementioned licenses. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to add an item to the agenda for the assessment review board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a vacancy on our Town of Kent Board of Assessment Review, and our assessor, Seth Plowski, has asked us to fill the position with John Holly, to fill the open seat that is good through
2027.
2027. I ask that we approve this tonight, as I think we're on the deadline.
Yeah.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution appointing a member to the Board of Assessment Review. Whereas the Town of Kent Board of Assessment Review is in need of a new member, and whereas the Town of Kent wishes to appoint John Howley to a position on the Board of Assessment Review, now therefore be it resolved that Howley be appointed for a term of 5 years commencing immediately and terminating on September 30th, 2027, and be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Kent hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution, consistent with the terms hereof and in such form as is satisfactory to the town supervisor and the town attorney. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Little math glitch there.
Hear it? What?
5 years would take us through 2028. Just saying.
You know, this was kind of a last minute thing,
Yeah.
and it should probably, it would have been nicer if we had worded it to say, to fill the unexpired term ending on.
Yeah.
But the expiration term is right,
Yes.
2027. Okay, that's close enough.
Yeah.
All right,
He
I
wasn't
asked,
filling anyone's term. It was a vacancy. It was completely vacant. So he wasn't filling anybody's unexpired term. I don't know if is that what you were asking yet?
oh,
She
so
was
it's not,
concerned, well, that's not what the assessor explained to me.
There was a vacancy. The
There
other,
was
the other person's
an
term.
AWOL Board of Assessment Review member, and so we needed to fill that with someone else.
And but his term had expired.
Okay.
so
So
this
there-
term
so
should
it-
expire on 2028 then?
No, because it runs from October 1st.
Yeah, it runs
Oh,
for a
so
certain
there's-
set
there's
time
a-
period, like the
Right.
assessors
We didn't
do.
get it filled back when we should have, is
Right.
what happened. Okay,
Right.
so we're good on the dates.
I mean, we've been advertising, but no one has.
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to make sure it was solid
Is-
legally. Thanks.
The following vouchers are for April 11th, 2023. Adelaide Environmental Health, $8,334 for asbestos testing at the Lake Carmel Community Center. Accent Enterprise, $36,107.95 for body camera lease. Semco Water, $7,643.44 for Water District 2 in March, $8,331.40 for Water District 1 in March. Danbury Auto Spring, $17,706.02 for the sanitation truck number 17. Employee Services LLC, $3,200 for EAP services. Global Montello Group, $4,316.19 for gas and $4,962.47 for gas. H.O. Penn Machinery, $4,619.89 for truck parts. Inside Engineering, $9,076 for Husis Park. Kevin Irwin, $5,229 for the prosecutor from January through March. Magna 5 MS, $5,965.76 for network services for April. Managed Technologies of New York, $25,145.54 for 2 servers for the police department. Millennium Strategies, $3,000 for grant services for January, $3,000 for grant services for March. Morton Salt, $35,957.57 for road salt. Municipal Emergency Services, $4,571.45 for body armor. NICOMCO, $2,972 for 2-way radios for the police for April. NICEG, $3,128.14 for electric for the police department. Also $2,647 for electric for the town hall. Newtown Veterinary Specialist, $4,328.43 for vet services for the canine. Orion, $2,139.80 for wire for the police department. PF Beal & Sons, $6,505 for Horse Pound Road, Water District Number 1. Purchase power, $3,000 for postage. Royal Carting, $3,922.96 for recycling garbage in February. State Comptroller, $38,623 for Justice Court in February. Stronghold Industries, $11,529.99 for Highway Truck Number 37. Wind Waste, $6,009.93 for Lake Carmel Garbage, and $7,328.59 for Lake Carmel Garbage, and $7,452.20 for Lake Carmel Garbage. We're adding an additional one, Hogan, Rossi, and Liguori, $5,416.63. Also from 2022, we still have FI Adams Incorporated, $22,100 for hammer drilling rocks. I asked the board to approve these vouchers.
Chris, just one thing, the Morton Salt, I think you read it as 35,000. It's
That's correct.
I'm sorry,
53,900.
Morton Salt was $53,957.57 for road salt. I asked the board to approve the
Second.
following as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, announcements. So this morning, Deputy Supervisor Rufin and I attended the Putnam Child Advocacy Center's breakfast, and they honor someone every year that, really helps out with their program and that just does an outstanding job. And the person that they chose is very near and dear this year to Kent. It is our very own police chief, Kevin Owens, who is not here tonight because his parents came in to celebrate the wonderful award that he received, and I said, don't come tonight, stay home with them. So that's why he's not here tonight, but it was a wonderful breakfast. They said wonderful things about Kevin that we all know about already. So I just want to congratulate him again, and we're very lucky to have him as our police chief in Kent. So.
I would say he's watching, but I'm going to say no.
Well, he's actually not watching because our systems are not working. We need some new equipment in there, so he'll have to wait till we get it on the website, and he'll be able to watch it from his office. I'll tell him to make sure he watches it so that he sees it. All right. On April 16th, this Sunday at 4:30, we are going to be honoring Bob Schwartz at Arts on the Lake, starting at 4:30. Come and bring your stories and memories of Bob. Let's see, what else do we have here? On May 6th, Putnam County residents only, it is Putnam County Department of Health Residential Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off Day. You can go on their website, putnamcountyny.com/health/recycle, or you can call 845-808-1390, extension 43125, and you
Where's it,
can go on
Fawnstock? That's where they usually do it, right?
Fawnstock State Park, Canupus Beach parking lot.
Yep.
So any information, go to their website, they can tell you what is accepted and what is not accepted.
And
Are
just
we
to
are we
clarify,
putting this on our website also?
Yes, I think it might already be on there.
And you have to pre-register.
You do.
Yeah.
But you
and
go
just
the
to
website.
clarify, this is not e-waste. We will have
No.
e-waste pickup here in Kent on Saturday, June 10th. So save your
Yes.
electronics till the next month.
Yes, come join us that day, 9 to 12. And I'm also working to do, I met the woman today, a medication take-back during the same time as we're doing e-waste day, so people can come and one stop, two things, so we're gonna work on that. Now I have a couple of announcements for recreation. We are offering youth martial arts every Thursday, beginning May 4th to June 8th for ages 5 to 12 at Okinawa Goju-Ryu in Brewster. If you want information, go to our rec website, as well as flag football starting on June 3rd, every Saturday at Eustis Park. It's girls, and we have co-ed grades K through 11. So check out our website for all of our programs that we're offering right now. And I believe that's all I have.
Okay, I just got a quick follow-up on the Town of Kent Community Cleanup Day. It's April 22nd. Supplies can be picked up starting at 9 o'clock at Kent PD. As Walt spoke at the last town board meeting, we need volunteers. The people that volunteer do a yeoman's job. They do more than is asked of them. And we have stretched thin with volunteers. So we need as many people as can come out. And as Ann pointed out at the last meeting, there is, lack of a better term, there's garbage everywhere. It's not just in the town of Kent, but let's clean up our town. Let's get our stuff, into bags so that the highway department and the sanitation department can pick it up. Again, starting at 9 o'clock, Chief Owens and I will be at Kent PD handing out supplies for that day.
Thank you.
Great. I have a few from the library. I love browsing their website and highlighting just a few items that might be of interest, but I encourage you to check their website. There's a lot to see. On the 13th and the 20th, successive Thursdays, and possibly continuing longer, I'm not sure, Food for Thought, Cook and Book Club for grades 3 to 4. If you like opera or think you might like opera, there's a program on Thursday or Wednesday the 19th at 6:30 on Zoom, Name That Opera, with information about all kinds of musical performances. And on May 3rd, they're doing a repeat presentation on the reservoirs of Putnam County. That will be at 5:30 p.m. at the library. And I think that's basically all I have.
That's the second one they're holding because the first one filled up so quickly
Right.
that they decided to add a second showing.
And then the Historical Society has a bus tour of Sybil Ludington's ride, but I did not come prepared with that information. Sue, do you know when it is? Okay, so that's on their website and on their Facebook, I'm sure. And we'll announce that next time if it hasn't happened yet.
Let me see if I can.
So it's coming around time again to start recruiting lifeguards, and I know that our lifeguard instructor, Mike O'Brien, is going to be offering the classes again this year on Lake Carmel. We'll do our part again to try to get some signs put up around town. Last year, we did a full court press on this, and it was very, very successful. We had more lifeguards take the class than we have in many years, and I hope that we can do that again. So I'm going to say it again. Get your grandkids out there, get your kids out there, get them off the video games, and send them for lifeguard training so we can get them a summer job. One other thing, Supervisor McGlasson mentioned that we went to this honorary breakfast this morning where they honored Kevin, but the Putnam CAC was their annual breakfast, and there was a motivational speaker there. I don't know if you call it motivational, it's a guest speaker.
Yes.
Who's been a police officer and been involved, and it was quite the speech. It was one of these speeches where you laughed, you cried, and it's most of the time you could barely hear a pin drop in the room. But that being said, it really opened my eyes to what Putnam Child Advocacy Center does, and they need support. They need community support. So it's a good cause, and I would encourage everybody to, look into them and see what you can do as a community to help them.
And just to go back to your Sybil Ludington's Revolutionary Ride, I found the information on it.
Yep.
So it is, the bus tour is on Sunday, April 23rd at 1 p.m. For more information, you can call 212-683-2027.
So after you've been out cleaning up your town on Saturday, you can take a relaxing ride and admire how clean the roads have become on Sybil's Ride. There's also going to be a railroad walk through Mayapack to learn about Old Putt, the railroad that used to come through here that's now the rail trail. That's going to be on the 21st at 10 a.m. And that's also on the Kent Historical Society Facebook page.
Okay.
Fun stuff.
Right, and also with the dam, we were looking for grant monies for the engineering side of it, so we recently sent a letter out to Mike Lawler So there was like 15 that were accepted. We made it within that margin there for the beginning of the process. I'd like to thank all the people that signed off on the letter that we sent up to Mike Lawler. Particularly a shout out to my sister-in-law, Adrian, who got 40 signatures from local businesses in a very short period of time.
Wow.
And Deliland, in one day, got 100 signatures. So they really went to town for us in a very short period of time to get signatures.
And the 67 people that brought me in letters of support.
And 67 people.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal response. Obviously, this was just a very preliminary step. We haven't been knocked out so far, and that's great, but this is a long process. It's not clear that it will survive the whole federal budget mechanism. So let's just keep our hopes up, and we'll know something probably by the end of this year.
Thank you.
That's it.
Any public comment?
Just wanted to take a moment about the beautification work, and thank you, Councilman, for your comments on volunteering. So just to be clear, I know it's come up in the past who's doing what, but as members, what we've done on the beautification committee is try to allocate where we live to do whatever we can. So in Lake Carmel, we put a special program up that we developed a couple of years ago, the Great Lake Carmel Community Day Cleanup, and I wanted to publicly recognize people who sponsored. So they came forward from Lake Carmel Pharmacy is going to donate Lake Carmel t-shirts and sweatshirts. And the new creamery that's gone in is going to do an ice cream. Carmel Pizza, Brick Oven Pizza is going to donate as well. And Limney. So, and then XL Printing did all the flyers and posters. And also Extreme Designs on t-shirts for the kids. So the first 24 that show up get t-shirts, and everybody gets some kind of recognition. So, the thinking behind this is get kids involved, because a lot of people don't give it a second thought. So I got involved back in high school on the first Earth Day. Talk about being older than
When the Earth
dirt.
was created?
Yeah, that's about good timing. Alley-oop for the councilman. But it's great to see the kids down there. And every time we do this, you get a nice group of kids down there, and it's one of those things they do. They don't even think about their volunteering until it's done, and then they get involved. They meet the other kids. Really good community builder. So I think anybody interested in that will be on the 22nd. So it's just a subset, and hopefully some of the other communities in Kent will pick up what we've put together and do the same thing. All you need is 1 or 2 volunteers. Take the people in your community. Hillendale could do it. A lot of people could get involved. So happy to help with that if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Does the schools still require volunteer?
Only for like NHS, National Honor Society, and things of that nature.
Well, this is a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Who could sign off from the town? Would the police chief or somebody from
Anyone
the police
can sign
department?
off.
Anyone?
Any-
So there you go.
I don't know who you would reach out to at Carmel, because obviously it's
Well,
Kent
the
resident.
sheet is, if it's like what my kids did for junior high, the sheet is a blank sheet, and
Right.
any hours that they accumulate, I'm just wondering if they'd come work for Lake Carmel, would Walt be able to sign? Probably, he's the
I
leader
think
on that.
anybody who is
The-
like
the lead person.
supervising adult can sign
Okay.
off on their community.
So there's a
hours.
good opportunity for all the kids out there that need to get some community service hours before the end of the year.
So has that been sent to the person at Carmel High School that does the weekly emailings to the community, or should we still do that? I wasn't sure.
Well, I don't know if you sent the press release.
The press release went out, it's in the paper.
Okay, so whatever I helped you with on that should have gone to them, which still can.
That's what I was wondering, if it's been emailed in, or if one of us should take care of
Not my
that.
knowledge. I didn't want to overstep the bounds of what we did for the town, so I didn't send it
Okay,
for Lake Carmel.
all right, I can make sure that gets done.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember who at the district office would get that.
I
but
think I
don't
have the
know.
contact
Okay.
information.
Yeah, because they do that Carmel Connections thing every Friday. They
Right.
send an email, blast email out.
And is it on Lake Carmel's Facebook page and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured. All right, I'll get it out to Conservation Committee. I have not done that yet. Or maybe Courtney will. Great, thanks. Okay.
Any other public comment?
Would either of you two, Lake Carmel, the signs, just real quick, when I ask you to take
could you let the audience know what's going on with the construction around the lake right now, which we're very proud
Oh,
of?
go ahead.
No, you can do it.
Yesterday, a long-awaited project started under construction, the extension of the walking path from where it ended all the way down to the dam. They started construction yesterday, so we should see something hopefully very soon down there, and I'll be very happy with it. We're excited. That was one of the first things that Walt was talking to me. I don't even know if you were even on the board yet, and you were talking to me about that project. So we're finally seeing it come to fruition.
Many thanks to the board, thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
We do any public comment?
Oh.
No? All right, make a motion to go into executive session, what are we discussing?
Litigation.
To discuss litigation.
I'll second it again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone have a nice night.